Aloha everybody and welcome to part 7 of Sonic Lost World. We are back on the Wii U version going through all of the circus tents that I unlocked in Desert Ruins. And I unlocked 4, one for each zone. And we're going to get a whole bunch of flickies here. Yes sirree Bob. So in the Windy Hill circus tents we had a trampoline which I had to use the touchpad on the gamepad to actually touch the trampoline and try and move it with my finger underneath where Sonic and Tails were bouncing. With this minigame, I'm moving the cannon with my finger, and then if I want to shoot Sonic out of the cannon, I just tap it. And then Sonic goes straight up wherever the cannon is under. And I find this minigame a lot easier to collect flickies in because most of the time Sonic just goes straight up and then right back down, and as long as I don't move the cannon, I can just keep firing him and firing him and firing him, and I'll get every single balloon that's on screen, no problem, getting me a crap load of flickies. Desert Ruins is the cannon minigames, Windy Hill is the trampoline, and it always stays that way. As long as you go to the circus tents that are in Desert Ruins, it will always be a cannon minigame, so that's pretty dang great. And there I have Sonic and Tails. Well, I had Sonic. Tails sort of missed the target there, but whatever. And, in my first ever playthrough, I did manage to collect all of the flickies along the way, and I never really got blocked off from anything. As early as the 4th level in Windy Hill, they tell you need 100 flickies. Then you get to Desert Ruins, and it's like, you need 500 flickies or so in order to reach Desert Ruins 4. So I knew I had to start collecting these things, and that with all of the red rings I was collecting, which are easy to do in the 2D levels. Like, Windy Hill 2, I managed to get like 4 red rings, and I must have found one along the way, and I unlocked a circus tent. And once I realized that the circus tents were respawning, I would just go back to them after I finished a zone. Like, let's say I got 2 circus tents in Windy Hill and in Desert Ruins. After I beat Tropical Coast, I'd go back to Desert Ruins and Windy Hill and do those tents again, repeat, and as I kept going through the game, kept going through every single zone. And yeah, even in my first playthrough, I didn't really have trouble getting all these flickies. And I managed to make it to 5,000 before the end boss rather nicely. I mean, I'm not going to deny that maybe the system shouldn't have been put in place, but then again, doesn't that add to the exploration factor that so many Sonic fans love to celebrate about the classic games? Don't you want a reason to check out all those multiple pathways of every single level, not just for the flickies, but also for the red rings to unlock the circus tents and whatnot? It gave people a reason to check every cranny, nook and cranny, to open every capsule they saw, not to just speed through and just blow through the levels like, you know, I was gonna say, like a Sonic game, but I guess that's why people don't like this game very much. You know, at least it's not like Shadow the Hedgehog or a game I'm about to come up to very soon, Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal is the kind of game where you have to get everything, and if you don't get everything, you don't unlock one emblem. Look at that! I got 800 just from this one circus tent. That is almost 1,000 just with this one circus tent alone. I'm already at 4,036, and I haven't even touched the 3rd zone yet. Come on! And I haven't even touched the Legend of Zelda DLC. But, yeah, Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, a game I will be doing in the future, is sort of like Shadow the Hedgehog, where, like, you can't just pick up 4 pink crystals in a level, you can't just find 4 blueprints in a level, you have to find all 5, otherwise you don't get an emblem, and that is when it's a lot more strict and a lot more annoying, because then you really have to go out of your way to find every single thing in a level. At least with this game, you don't have to find all the red rings in one act. At least with this game, you can replay circus tents because they respawn. You can replay levels, and the badniks and the capsules and all the flickies inside of those are going to respawn as well. So at least with Sonic Lost World, you're never locked out of collecting more flickies. Like, you can replay levels and go back through alternate pathways and do other things to get more flickies. And I never really found it to be a frustrating element of the game, you know. I always find it fascinating. Mario 3D World came out about a bit later after Sonic Lost World, and that had a green star element. Oh, by the way, this is 3D Drill Wisp. This is not a great controlling thing. It's not quite like a Star Fox like on-rails shooter that you might think it is. It's like the Drill Whips is constantly moving forward, and when you push up, you are changing its angle a little bit, and it's weird. It's sort of like you go up, and then you go down, and then it goes up and straight, and it's really hard to explain. There's an entire 3DS level surrounding the 3D Drill Wisp, and I'll talk about it then, but let's just say I used it once just to show off that it was in this level. I'm not going to touch it again, and the Wii U version in general is not going to touch 3D Drill Wisp ever again either, so I don't even know why they bothered putting it in the level, but hey, there it is, 3D Drill Wisp, in case you cared. But, you know, when Mario 3D World came out, there was a whole bunch of green stars you needed to collect as you were going through the levels, and they also blocked you off from the rest of the game. You couldn't get to Bowser's Castle, Bowser Land, without collecting those green stars. And I did have a friend who was not really focusing on the green stars, who did get locked out, and then he had to play a whole bunch of old levels in Mario 3D World again. And I guess the idea was, some people were like, well, it's like collecting stars in Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy. It's not really that different from those games. Not true, because those were the goalposts in those games. When you were getting a Shine Sprite in Mario Sunshine, you didn't leave the level until you picked up the Shine Sprite. It was kind of the point of the level, you know? In Mario Galaxy's various linear levels where you were just platforming until you got to the star, that was the goalpost. That was the objective of what you were doing. Green stars were super easy to miss. I mean, they were easy to collect, don't get me wrong, but I just thought it was interesting how little reception, how little anger people gave it with Mario 3D World. But this system where the flickies respawn and the circus tents respawn and everything respawns, man, Sonic fans really hated it, and they would not stop bellyaching about it. And every time I'd see someone doing another playthrough of this game, for some reason, even though they know it existed, the system existed as... I mean, you go to the first... You know, you get to the end of the first zone, and you know you have to collect 100 flickies for the 4th level. That should remind you that you need to collect these things, and people still get bothered by it, and they still get annoyed, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Get 5 red rings in a zone, circus tent happens, circus tent keeps coming back over and over again so you can keep playing it. It's not really that big a deal, in my opinion. Does it need to be in the game? Does the system need to be in the thing? Probably not. But, you know, at least it's not as bad as Shadow the Hedgehog. At least it's not as bad as Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, where, God, they make you collect everything. They make you just, you know, go through every single little inch of those levels, because you're not getting anything until you get everything, which is, ugh. But, you know. I'm not visiting any more circus tents ever again past this point. I'm just going to get the remaining 1,000 to get to 5,000 simply from defeating flickies, or sorry, simply from defeating badniks, simply from opening capsules, and I should make 5,000 pretty quickly. This is the 3rd zone of 7, after all, so, yeah, I'm just saying, it was never hard to collect 5,000 flickies. Never. Even if you're not collecting all the red rings like I was, all you needed was one circus tent that constantly respawns. But I'm done talking about how I'm better than all of you. You all just suck at this game, obviously. But, oh, I love the cloud jumping mechanic in Sonic Lost World, by the way. I really love how this works. So, like, you constantly have Sonic hopping on the clouds if you're on them, and you have to push the jump button in order to make him jump higher than the usual hops that he's doing. So you see right here, when I'm going sideways between these clouds, I'm doing very tiny hops. I'm not doing the big lunging rainbow hops like I do to reach the higher clouds. I'm just tapping the button as soon as Sonic lands. Like, as soon as Sonic touches the cloud, I just tap the jump button, and then he goes a little bit high, and then I tap, and he goes a little bit high. And it's really easy to land on the clouds because there's a convenient drop shadow, so I know never to stop letting go of the control stick as long as there's a shadow under the cloud, and it's super satisfying to do. That was actually a place to get a lot of great extra lives before the patch, before you got the 100 rings gets you a life patch, you know?
Alas, poor Cubot, I knew him well.
Arr! Me voice chips all cattywampus.
Thanks to Sonic, everything's gone cattywampus.
My cacophonic conch was the only thing keeping those 6 maniacs in check.
Some sort of a natural inhibitor to their powers. Very painful.
And very rare. The Zeti have an innate ability to manipulate magnetic fields. They can make electronics, including my mechs, do interesting things. I controlled those powers with the conch until Sonic punted it away with his typical stupidity.
Get lost, Eggman, and let us get things under control.
I hope the Zeti eat you alive, you meddling hedgehog.
Okay, if it pleases the court, all those who think Eggman is a total bonehead raise their hands.
Well, there you go, folks. The motion is passed unanimously.
I didn't raise my hand.
So yeah, the Deadly Six have the ability to control robots. Eggman was controlling them with the conch. He doesn't have the conch anymore, so now the Deadly Six are in control of Eggman's machines. And we just established that Eggman built a machine to suck all life out of the planet, so... But that's the plot of Sonic Lost World. Anywho, folks, we're at the first stage of the 3DS version of Tropical Coast, and this stage is mostly underwater, which is not fun, because, you know, my personal bias between... And I love running into ball spikes that I can't see coming. But you know, my personal bias between water levels. You gotta be fast in these sections because there are very little water bubbles scattered throughout. It's very easy to drown in Tropical Coast 1, I have found. So you gotta be quick, you gotta find water bubbles, and inhale their air as quickly as you can. And there's a lot of, like, above water sections here. I would just like to climb walls if I'm not really fast coming up to them like the Wii U version. Seriously. How many times I miss things because I constantly have to spin dash into walls because that's the only way I can get a running start in a 3DS version. And I ran into ball spikes again because... See, I complimented this about the Wii U version and people were like, oh, well that should be expected of every Sonic game, Clement. Don't give a point for, like, the easiest thing in the world. Oh, okay. The Sonic Game Gear games... Sonic Genesis on the GBA, I guess those were really great with the camera. They weren't pushed in. You could see everything coming in those games too. No, I'll compliment it in the Wii U version of Lost World because that doesn't always guaranteed happen. Like this game, where the camera is so closed in you can't see anything coming. So like, if you're on a rail and you have to get to a higher route, you'll never see that ring in time. You'll never be able to jump in time. And this isn't even a game with the boost formula. I'm not boosting. I'm just going through it normally, and Sonic is so fast on screen, and the camera's so zoomed in from where he is, you can't react to things half the time, and you're always taking damage. And, you know, there's nothing empowering about a Sonic game where you're constantly running into shit, running into spikes, running into badniks, running into things that you just can't possibly prepare for. I even mentioned with Windy Hill 3, they have one speed booster that uncurls you just as you're about to run into a Motobug, and then you run into the Motobug, and that's just like shit design, in my opinion, you know? Plus, I need the air, because you can drown in these places with all this water, so you're kind of encouraged to be quick, you're encouraged to hold on to the R button to run fast, and you're just constantly running into stuff all the time. You're running into stuff all the time. I don't like it. I also don't like that the Drill Wisp can't run into chompers in this level. If you try running into a Badnik, even from behind, it damages you and it scatters your rings, and then you don't get your S rank, and that's just like... Ugh. Thanks for the ball spike, game. I'm only trying to run so I don't drown, but yeah, feel free to just spring those on you so you can't see them coming. Not to mention I'm looking at a tiny screen on a handheld, so yeah. And here, there's our drowning theme back again. So you gotta get those air bubbles. Gotta get them really, really quickly. Oh, and they also have enemies that you have to use charge-up homing attacks to kill, because if you try jump... Sorry, I hate how often I take damage in these levels. But, yeah, you have to do a whole bunch of charge homing attacks to defeat the giant fish. And you also have to use the bounce move, which I haven't really talked about too much. You can bounce in both the Wii U and the 3DS version. And in order to switch to the other side of the gravity of this level, in order to walk on the ceiling and have the gravity shift, you have to use your bounce to get higher so that you just enter the ceiling's gravitational pull, and then you're walking along the ceiling. And if it's your first time playing and you don't know that, you just see a trail of rings heading up, you jump, nothing happens. Game doesn't have really lots of tutorial bubbles all over the place, and first-time Sonic players may be quite annoyed indeed. But I remember that kind of element being a thing in Sonic Colors with the Asteroid Coaster level, so I picked up on that fairly quickly. But, whoop! See? Gravity reverses because I bounced up there. I don't like this level. You're constantly running into shit because the camera's too zoomed in. It's a water level, so it's slow, and it drowns out the fantastic music, which I love oh so much, that the 3DS players are not going to hear in their full entirety. Okay, there is a sound test in the 3DS version, so you can listen to all the music, but still, Tropical Coast 1's music track is freaking amazing. I love it. Oh, it's a great music track. It's so damn good. Anyway, folks, that's the beginning of Tropical Coast. So yeah, folks, it is November 6th as of the time I'm uploading this video. Tomorrow's November 7th. That means that the new game Sonic Forces is dropping, and I'm going to be playing that as soon as midnight drops. Don't you worry, I've already pre-downloaded it on my PS4. I can't wait to make my own OC. Good news, guys. We're going to have a fully realized Whiteout the Cat. You're a real fan of mine if you remember Whiteout the Cat. That's a deep cut reference, Whiteout the Cat. But yeah, enjoy Sonic Forces, folks, and I'll see you again with Part 8.